Okay, let's begin standing, feet hip width apart and parallel. And hands on hips. You're just going to let your body sway gently back and forth. It's a really small lean back and a really small lean forward. I'll turn side on so that you can see. It's a very small lean back, hardly anything. Small lean forward. As I lean back, hopefully I'll feel my front body contract to try and catch me. As I lean forward, my back body contracts to catch me. So we're just exploring what that feels like. Leaning forwards and leaning backwards. A couple more times, making the movement smaller and smaller until we find ourselves in a center point where we can stand still and upright. Okay, so coming to that center point now, the weight feels like it's evenly spread across your feet, big toes pressing down. And then from there, we're going to lift up into a calf raise and lower back down again. So your balance is going to come from strong big toes and focused eyes. So find somewhere to look at out in front that can hold your head relatively still, and then focus on big toes pressing down to lift your body up. Breathe in as you rise. Breathe out as you lower. Lifting and lowering a few more times. Let's have two more. And last one. And then our feet are going to come all the way down to the ground, and we're going to lift our forefoot up and then place it back down and then switch and do the other leg. Again, I'll turn side on so you can see this. I'm lifting the toes and the forefoot up to make my shin contract, and then placing down and then switching and doing the other side. Lifting and lowering. Lifting and lowering. Let's keep going with that. Oh, lose my balance. All right, if we want something to lift up, we have to push something else down. So if we want the toes to rise higher, we have to push the heel down to lift the toes. And see if you can get a sense of that. Down driving the heel to send the forefoot up higher towards the shin. And hopefully you're getting some sort of mild burning sensation in the front of your shin as those muscles get tired. And also, hopefully, you can feel that as you try to lift your forefoot up, your low tummy also lifts as well. Excuse me. Let's have four more. And 3. And 2. And last one. Okay, some circles. So we're going to put all our weight onto one foot and then lift our foot up slightly so we can circle our ankle around. And it's fine to just keep toe tapping to catch your balance if you need to. Let's change direction and go the other way. And then switch your feet around, circling with one foot. And then changing direction. And then bringing your foot to the ground. And we're going to step back off our right leg. So I'll mirror you today. I'm going to use my left, but if you do your right, it should look the same. Okay, so we're stepping back into a calf stretch, pushing the heel down into the ground. I'll turn side on so you can see the shape. I'm trying to make a long line from my back heel right through my body to my head, holding that shape. If you want to add anything to it, you can take your arms and reach overhead and then let them come back down by your sides. And let's do that a few more times. Inhaling as your arms reach up. Exhaling as your arms lower. If your balance is struggling with this, you can keep your hands on your hips like we did at the start. Let's have two more. And last one. And then circle your arms around back to your hips. We'll take a little step in off that back leg and then sit back into a hamstring stretch. Okay, coming out of the stretch and that leg that's behind us, we now bring it in another step. We're going to lift it up into a standing knee float. We'll turn and face the mirror, not the mirror, the screen. So you can see, up it goes, down it comes. So we're going to lift and lower a couple of times, just working with the balance that we have today. And again, strong feet pushing down into the ground and focused eyes will help you to stay balanced. Let's have a few more. And lowering. Whoop. And last two. And on that very last one, we're going to hold the leg up. And add some pulses here. 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then your foot's going to come all the way down, give your legs a little shake. And then you're going to step back off the other side. And calf stretch your left side. Just starting off, pushing the heel into the ground behind you. I'll turn side on again so you can see. And then you can form your long diagonal line, heel through hip, through heart, through head, and then arms can reach and increase the stretch. Let's inhale as the arms rise. And we'll have two more. Last one. And then circle the arms around to your hips and take a little step in off the back leg. And we're going to sit back onto that back leg for a hamstring stretch. And then coming out of that, and that back leg's going to step in again. And we've got standing knee floats. So we're picking up and placing down. Fairly simple leg lift. Keep going, lifting and lowering. You need to hold on to something that you have at home that's really stable. Feel free to do so. You can take hold of the edge of a piece of furniture or a door frame. Let's have 4 more. And 2 and 1. We're going to hold up on this one. Try not to wobble too much. However, once I start wobbling, sometimes that's it. I can't control it. I have to bring my foot down. So we'll see how it goes. So we're holding and then pulsing. Whoop. So yeah, maybe that's one of these days. Keep pulsing. I'll reset myself. Leg up. That's it. Okay, so from here, 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. And then your foot's going to come down, give your legs a little shake. And then a double bend, we're in a small knee bend. Then from there, a big reach up to the ceiling. And then a double knee bend, pendulum arm swing. When you're ready to add in a breath, we inhale on the rise and exhale on the swing. Let's have 2 more. And last one. And our arms are going to stay up here. We're going to grab onto one of our wrists and lift it into a side stretch. Let's come out of the side stretch and then back into it again. Let's do a few where we lean and create a bit of progression. One more. And then when we come back to the center line, we'll take the grabbing hand and we'll put it back down, and then we'll let this one pendulum swing on its own a few times. Try to keep it as relaxed as possible, and it doesn't have to go all the way up to the ceiling. It can just swing down here if that's where you think you're at for today. Let's have one more set. So this will be our last one, and we'll finish on this outside edge, and then let the arm lower back down. Take both arms up to the ceiling, grab onto the other wrist, lift it up and side bend into the side body and back up again. A few more like this. And 2 and 1. Back up, taking the grabbing hand and putting it down by your side, and then letting your arm pendulum swing. Breathing naturally, trying to stay as soft and relaxed in your shoulder as you can. Let's make this one the last one. So we'll finish on the outside edge. Here we are. And lower all the way back down. Clasp your hands behind you and pull back into a pec stretch. I've got my arms behind and a little bit lifted off my seat. Hold here for 3 breaths. And then from there, releasing the grip, give my arms a bit of a shake, and then take it across the body for a deltoid stretch, front of shoulder, around the edge of your shoulder. And then the other way. And then back. Give your arms another little shake. And here we are ready for our first roll down. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, bring your chin to your chest and roll yourself down towards the mat. Try to keep your pelvis upright for as long as you can. And then when you think, right, that's it, I just can't keep it upright anymore, you can let it tip forward. And then everything feels like it's falling out the top of your head. And then from your pelvis, tailbone under, roll all the way back up. Let's do that one more time. Take an inhale at the top. Exhale, chin to chest, rolling down through your spine. Attempting to keep your pelvis upright until you just can't. And then you'll let it tip. Back of the pelvis feels broad. Everything falling out the top of your head. And then rolling all the way back up to standing pelvis, low tummy, And then upper body and head. Widen your stance. And we're going to side to side into a standing inner thigh stretch. I've got my feet ever so slightly turned out so that when I bend my knees, they kind of angle over the same direction as my feet. I'm going from side to side, maybe a little bit lower each time, trying to keep my body relatively upright. Let's have 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. And then we're going to heel toe into just wider than shoulder width. And then from there, maybe hands out in front to help with balance. And I'm going to drop down into a squat. Pushing your bottom out behind you as if you're trying to reach back to sit on a seat. Only going as low as you feel you have control. We want to create enough work to get a bit of burning through the muscles of our legs. Let's have 4 more. And 3 and 2. And then last one, we're going to hold it down here and pulse on the spot. Up and down a few times. Let's have 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. And then pushing all the way back up to standing. Heel toe, and then some little knee bends, leg shakes. To release that, let's have a second roll down, breathe in. And then on the exhale, chin to chest, and roll yourself all the way down towards your feet. Again, feels like everything falls at the top of your head. And then when you're ready, you're going to bend your knees and come down from there onto your mat. Wide knees so that you can sit back into a shell stretch. And then once you're down there, walk your fingers away so you can get this feeling of the soft tissue of your back being stretched. Deep breaths in this shape. Then we're going to walk our hands around to one side. And you can take one of your hands and stick it under your forehead. So I've gone to my right, and my right hand is under my forehead. My left is reaching to the right. And then I'm going to come out of the stretch and around to the other side. I've now gone to the left. My left hand comes under my forehead, and I use it as a head pillow. And then coming back to the center, propping yourself up into 4-point kneeling so that you can take one of your arms and slide through the gap for thread the needle. And depending on what this feels like, you can sit your hips back a little bit if it feels like it improves the stretch. If it doesn't, you can keep your hips over your knees and feel the stretch from a slightly different place. And then we'll twist and go to the other side. And then when you're ready, coming out of the stretch, and then we're going to go back into 4-point kneeling. And curl our toes under. And take a moment just to get your toes curled under as best as you can so that we can stretch back into the soles of the feet. I'm going to push back a little bit to get to that stretch. Let's hold for a second. And then take the stretch away. Let's relax the feet and let them stretch out so that they're now flat. And then we're going to curl the toes under again. And pushing through your toes and through your hands, lift your knees maybe an inch off the ground. Hold. And then put them back down and then relax your feet out. Let's do that again, curling the toes under. And you can do this with your feet flat. Say you've got toe joint issues. You can just keep your feet flat down and lift your knees up like that. If you can, get your toes under, that's great. And if not, just do whatever is working for you today. Okay, push down through your hands and your feet and lift up through your knees and hold. And then knees down, feet relaxed. And from here, we'll go straight into arm raises. So it's alternating arm raises. Using the push down of your hand to help keep your body nice and stable. And using an inhale, so we breathe in as we reach, to help lift your arm up. Let's have 4 more. And 2. And 1. And then we're going to give our wrists a rest. We'll sit back into a shell stretch and take the weight off our hands. And then coming back up. Curl your toes under again. We'll do another centering exercise to connect us to our low tummy. So push down through the hands, lift your knees and hold for a second. And then knees down, feet relax. And now our arm exercise is going out to the side and down to the floor. So it's just a finger tap on the floor. And then we lift it up again to shoulder height. 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. And then let's just take a little rest from there, sitting back for a moment. And then back up onto your hands, 4-point kneeling to do the other side. So your left arm or your other side is now going to lift and lower. I shall turn so that you can see. It's just a finger tap to the mat and then back up to shoulder height. 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then one final shell stretch for a rest. And then out of that and into this low forearms on the ground, 4-point kneeling. Okay, so we're going to bring your knees in a little bit closer to the center line to help with balance. And then you're going to slide one of your legs out behind you and lift it up. Then lower it down. So I'm not lifting it really high. I'm lifting it so that it lines up with my head. So I'm going to about here. So my foot, my hip, and my head are all kind of on a similar line. And trying to keep your hips square and your back leg straight, which is harder than it seems. Let's have a couple more. And 2 and 1. We're going to hold here and then bend the knee and straighten the leg. Hamstring curls. Four and 3 and 2 and 1. Hold here and then push up to the ceiling and back down. This is the last piece of this sequence, so we've only got 4 more to do, and then we're done. 3 and 2 and 1. Bring your knee underneath you. Sit yourself back, have a little stretch. And then lay down on your side. You stretch your arm out long and rest your head down. And put one leg on top of the other and a flat hand on the floor. You'll lift both legs up at the same time, rising and falling. If we want something to go up, something else has to go down. So we have to push our hip into the ground to help lift our legs up. Four, 3, 2. On this one today, we're going to hold up here and then lift the top leg up and down a little bit higher. Four more. So the bottom leg is lifted. 3, 2, and 1. Everything lowering all the way back down. Roll over onto your front. Center yourself in the mat. Bring your hands to the mat just underneath your forehead. Okay, so from here, a little bit of a lift of your upper body. And then lower back down. As we practice this easeful swan prep, I want you to start to focus on your hips and whether you can feel them pushing into the ground. So as our head and shoulders rise, our hips should press down. And anything that's pressing down is doing so to lift something else up. So we've got a hip push that lifts our low tummy and our back up. So really the focus becomes the floor underneath your pelvis and how you can use that to create lift in your upper body. Let's have 4 more. 3, 2, and on this last one, you're going to lift up and hold. And we're going to do a little bit of arm lifting, one side to the forehead and then the other side, just to check in to see how much of our back extension was our arms. So by taking them away just for a moment, we end up having to do more from the right place. So 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. And lower all the way back down. Take your hands to the sides of your body. Push down to lift yourself up and back. into a child's pose or shell stretch. Okay, we're going to come out this and do the other leg. So we're down on our forearms and sliding your leg out behind you. And then when you're ready, it's a lift and a lower. I'm trying to get our weight on the inside edge of our knee. It helps keep our hip in position. Do 2 more like this. 2 and 1, and then hold here and hamstring curl. Make sure that you're breathing. Air coming in, air going out. 4 more. And 3. And 2. And last one. Hold here and then push up towards the ceiling with that leg. I got 4. And 3. And 2. And 1. Leg comes underneath you. You sit back just a little bit. And then onto your side. A long straight arm. Head resting down. Hand pressing down. And when you're ready, both legs lifting and lowering. If we want something to go up, the hips have to press down. So we'll do 2 more, and then we're going to hold in the high point. So here we are holding here, and then up and down on the top leg. Side of your waist long. Last one, and then lowering everything back down. And now we roll onto our backs. Center yourself in the middle of your mat. Feet flat, knees bent, ready for a shoulder bridge. You push your hips up. Don't expect the first one to go very high. I often end up stuck in this little dip here for the first one. Roll your spine all the way back down. Let's do that again. Pelvic tilt into the shoulder bridge. Maybe you'll get a little bit higher on the second one. Uncurl all the way back down. Rolling up, feet pressing down, arms pressing down, glutes helping your hips up. Let's keep going and do a couple more. Pressing down through your feet to lift up through your hips. Uncurling. Okay, last one we hold up. Bring your heels a little bit closer in. And we're going to use our toes to push our heels up into a calf raise. Four, 5, 6. We've got 8 to do, so 2 more. 7, 8. Uncurl all the way back down. You can let your feet back out a little bit. I'm going to push all the way up and finish off with hip drop. So I'm going to let my right hip drop a little bit and then push it back up, drop, and rise. Let's have 2 more and then we'll go straight into the other side. So here we are. Other side working now for 8. 3, 2, and 1. And then uncurl all the way back down. You're going to bring your knees into your chest and stretch out your low back. So you can grab onto them and give them a little pull. Maybe lift your head and shoulders in 2. Head and shoulders back down. Let your feet come down to the ground. Let's knock both knees over to one side. Your arms might want to come out to the side for stability. Come back up to the center line. Go the other way. I'm keeping my thighs together. And just rocking from side to side. Okay, back to the center after this one. And then you're going to cross your right leg over your left, stretch out through your glute. And if you want to, you can increase the stretch by grabbing on to the leg and pulling in. Slightly stronger pull, maybe. And then let that leg relax and switch it over for the other one. So I'm going to cross, reach, and grab. Maybe a slightly stronger pull. And then relax that. Roll over onto your front. And then when you're ready, you're going to reach back and grab onto your foot. And quad stretch. And then switch. And here, pushing up into 4-point kneeling. Curling your toes underneath you. And stretching out through your feet again. Walking your hands back. Rolling yourself up onto your feet. Pushing your feet down, lifting your sit bones up. Tailbone under. Roll all the way back up to standing. And then finding a space on your mat. Ready to do a standing balance to finish. Just going to get my balance back. Lightheaded. Okay, so I'm leaning on my toes and now I'm going to push myself up. Find my balance point, take both my arms up, take an inhale. And then heels down, arms down, shoulder roll, and an arm shake to finish. Thank you for joining me. See you next week. Bye.